Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dominic Collier, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 17th Annual Youth Justice Convention here at the King's Power Stadium, Leicester. I'd just like your attention just for a few moments before I pass you over to Colin Lars, Chief Executive of the Youth Justice Board, who will open the convention. Please note there are no fire alarms scheduled throughout the 2 days. If you do hear a fire alarm announcement, please make your way to the nearest exit. The assembly point is the mega store, and there will also be members of staff on hand to assist. In addition to the conference room and exhibition room, we have 6 breakout rooms being used throughout the 2 days. We have the Banks Lounge and the Gallery, which are both on the 3rd floor. We have the Premier 1, Premier 2, Legends Lounge and Rowley Suite, which are both on the 2nd floor. To get to the 2nd floor and 3rd floor, you need to head back towards registration, where the stairs and lifts will take you up. The rooms are quite far away, so it will take about 5 to 10 minutes to get to the breakout rooms, so please do walk reasonably quickly so that all the speakers can have the maximum amount of time to present. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors and exhibitors for supporting the event, including Capital One, our headline sponsor for the 2 days. I'd encourage all delegates and speakers to engage with the sponsors and really get the most out of the 2 days. I'm also delighted to announce at this year's convention we have a drinks reception at the end of today, at the end of conference day 1. It's sponsored by Change to Choose Be Well, and it will be taking place in the exhibition room. Lastly, I'd just like to mention Twitter. If all our speakers, sponsors and delegates could tweet their thoughts throughout the 2 days, that'd be fantastic. The hashtag is YJC17. Thank you for your attention. I'd now like to welcome Colin Lars, Chief Executive of the Youth Justice Board, who will open the convention. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome you to this year's Youth Justice Convention. I'm doubly pleased because I can actually see my notes this year. For those that were there last year, remember we were doing it in the dark, and all the way through I was like this, trying to work out what the notes said. So I've got my notes. So hopefully I'll get that bit right. Many of you have come a long way. Some of you I know have come a long way this morning. So hopefully the coffee and so on has helped you in arriving here. We've got people here from across the British Isles, but also from overseas. So to our overseas guests as well, a very warm welcome. I know that it can feel like we're constantly grappling with some aspect of new reform or working through some very difficult issues. Today is no different to the situation we've faced certainly the whole time I've been associated with youth justice work. And as an illustration, for those of you that are watching the news as it unfolds, I don't know whether it's made the news yet, there's a report being published today about Oak Hill, which again points to just the challenges around running some of our secure estate and so on. But there are many more challenges, and over the next couple of days, there's a real opportunity for us to work together and work through some of those. This convention is my second convention as the Chief Exec of the Youth Justice Board. And it has, of course, been a really busy year for the Youth Justice Board, for its staff and for its board. Last year, we had an interesting convention without quite knowing what the future would be, an awful lot of uncertainty, a fairly blank sheet of paper with a lot of speculation. We didn't have Charlie Taylor's report review published at that point, and we certainly didn't have the government's response. So we were in a position of planning against an uncertain future. We're now, though, of course, in a position where it's been published. We've also had the government's response, and we've made over the last 12 months some quite fundamental changes to the way that the Youth Justice Board functions are delivered, and I'll talk just a little about those. For us, it's meant the creation of a new organisation, the Youth Custody Service, that was created in April as a distinct arm of Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, HMPPS, and it's since become responsible for the placement of all young people in the secure estate and the delivery of secure services, including the delivery of escorting arrangements and so on. We've also moved the functions related to commissioning into the core MOJ, out of the Youth Justice Board into the core MOJ. And as part of that process, indeed a large number of Youth Justice Board staff have moved across respectively to the Youth Custody Service and the MOJ as those functions have been split. That's left us, the Youth Justice Board, with responsibility for strategic oversight of the whole system, for providing advice, independent advice to ministers on the way that system's working, and looking to join up and support the joining up of service delivery across the various strategic partners involved in working with children. We are still working through what that means in practice for the Youth Justice Board, but we're getting pretty close to that. We're doing that with the board at the moment. Indeed, we have a board meeting this evening to talk about that very subject. So, my job was to introduce the first session, really, and following what I have to say, you'll hear first from Claire Toogood, who's the Director of Youth Justice Policy. She's responsible for the policy and for the commissioning work within the core MOJ. You'll then hear from Charlie Taylor, our Chair, who will talk about the future role of the YJB and the vision for the YJB. And then from Michael Spur, who's the Chief Executive of HMPPS, the part of the organisation responsible for the Youth Custody Service. So we'll have those three presentations, and then we'll have a session of questions and answers from the floor and so on. We've got some questions that people have already submitted, and we'll see where that gets us to. Now, to come back to the convention itself, whilst we host it, the YJB hosts the event, I do want to be really clear that it's not about us. It's never been about the YJB. It's been about the work that we all do. So it's about the young people that we all work with, and how everybody in this room, about all of us, work together and can work together to deliver what they need to help turn their lives around. Our aim for this convention has been to really focus on how we make it sector-led and practitioner-focused. So we've tried to just shift it very slightly from where it's been in the past, building on the good bits of the past and just add a bit more to it. To achieve that, this time we set up a reference group made up of colleagues from across the secure estate and across the community and the sector and so on. And I'd like to thank all of those that did that work. Their input has been fantastic, and I hope you'll see from the agenda that there's an awful lot of content there. And hopefully we'll all get a lot from the next couple of days. I'm also delighted that we're able to welcome Geetha, and I'm going to try and get the surname right. I really struggle with Geetha's surname. It's Subramaniam Mooney, and she's going to chair both days of the convention. That's a break from the past. In the past, and I should pay tribute to Rob Butler, who's done it for us, but we thought we'd take a different approach this year. So Geetha is going to chair throughout. Geetha is currently the head of Public Protection and Safety at Lewisham Council. For those of you that don't know it, that's in London, and has a huge amount of experience in the world of youth justice over many years. I've worked with her in a number of ways. She's passionate about this area of work, and I know will lead and chair the convention extremely well, and she'll be asking some difficult questions of us as well, I would imagine, as time goes on. So thank you, Geetha, for agreeing. Geetha will actually pick up the chairmanship role once the three speakers following me have all sat down, and from there on she has hold of the baton, and we're in her hands. In terms of the convention itself, we've endeavoured to change the way that young people are involved throughout the event. We've tried talking with them to see how we make it more meaningful for them and more impactful for the convention itself. So hopefully that will work. This year we've got 2 youth participation leads, Noah Williams and Harley Hegarty, both of whom have been through the system. And they'll be conducting peer-led interviews and attending seminars where there's plenty of opportunity to talk to them. They'll also be joined at points by young people from Peer Power and from Waltham Forest Youth Offending Service who will take part in the convention at various points. So please make them feel welcome. Please engage with them throughout. It's as important for them as it is for us that we do that. The structure of the event itself is built around 4 key themes. Those themes are youth justice reform, exploitation, complex behaviour and trauma, and social media. Sorry, it should be trauma and social media together. There'll be keynote speeches for each of those topics from Nazir Afzal, Professor Hugh Williams and Jonathan Bagley. And there's also an opportunity to really consider the issues in open forum and questions around each of those. So that's similar to the sort of format we've worked with in the past and building again on experience. I wanted then just to quickly run through some of the highlights, the themes that we're going to pick out. As confirmed to us, and none of us, I think, were in the dark about this, confirmed to us by David Lammy's recent report, there's a significant issue that we all face around BAME disproportionality across the youth justice system, and disproportionality, or the disproportionate numbers of children from the care system coming into the youth justice system. We all want to rectify that. We've all been grappling with it for a long time. We hope throughout all of the sessions of the convention we'll be able to draw on ideas around that area. There'll be a seminar on preparing for the new HMI probation inspection framework. We'll also be looking at how our youth justice system compares internationally, and as I say, we have some international colleagues here, compare and contrast our experiences there, and an opportunity to hear about court reform in one of the seminars. There's issues around exploitation, so we're clearly experiencing significant issues with exploitation in many, many forms. We have a keynote speech on that around tackling exploitation, sexual exploitation, county lines and safeguarding. Should be really interesting, I think, those. We're going to talk about how we manage trauma. It's clearly a key part of youth justice work, and as you'll be aware, the YJB has been championing trauma-informed practice in parts of the country. You'll hear about innovative tools involved in, and techniques involved in trauma and complex behaviour. We'll be looking closely at the transformation going on in young people's mental health, and trying to better understand the link between family circumstances and youth development. We're increasingly seeing the value of working with young people in developing practices which help reduce offending, and participation is a key part in many of the topics that will be discussed at the convention. So issues around participation there. And our final area of work is to look at the whole issue of social media and its impact on the children that we deal with, the risks and challenges that it poses for them and for us as professionals. There are, of course, many other engaging and interesting topics, and you have the opportunity to pick and choose from quite a large suite within your programmes. So, as the programme shows, I hope, we know or have identified many of the challenges faced by children caught up in the youth justice system. I know that we all strive in our various jobs and guises and so on to help these children to go on and to become successful adults, to be able to lead crime-free lives. Achieving that is only possible through the commitment and dedication of a skilled workforce. And to that end, we've included amongst the sessions a session on workforce development. There's a seminar on that, and that's available at 11:10 today. So do visit that if you wish to. There's also a session on mindfulness at lunchtime for those that are interested in mindfulness. This year we hosted an artwork competition to showcase the talents, the huge talents of the young people that we all work with in both the community and the secure estate. The response was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. There are some examples out in the area outside. The judging of those entries was done by young people themselves. It was the children at Hillside Secure Centre and children in Leicestershire Youth Offending Service. And the winners will be announced tomorrow, so that's something to look forward to. But do have a look at the work out there; it is absolutely fantastic. I'd just like to finish by saying it's clear that our sector as a whole has seen many successes, and you all have much to be proud of and to celebrate. But it's also the case, and we all know this, that there's much more to be done, and there are significant challenges facing us. None of us can be happy with aspects of the system that are not working as they should be. And I hope that we can use the next 2 days to explore some of those and maybe move some of those really difficult issues forward. So that was a privilege to open the convention. I really hope you enjoy the next 2 days. We'll get from it what we put into it, so please participate fully. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Claire, who will give us the MOJ's perspective on where the government's plans are for youth justice.